Cheers. Nahaim. That's some good Merlot. Hey y'all, it is your favorite nerdy girl here, Nerdy Girl Reviews, and we are back with another recap, and it is for Scenes from a Marriage, now streaming on Hbomax. It is a 4-part miniseries. I'm going to do a quick skim of all 4, and perhaps I will revisit this video when I can break down per episode, but because I'm already late to the party. I know that it premiered in September, but I just saw it during the whole holiday, post-holiday break. Now, if you'd like to see and hear the full reviews, keep me logged here on YouTube. If you're watching this on Instagram, click the link in bio. If you're watching this on IG Stories, click on the link. It'll link you back to my YouTube channel. And if you'd like to catch my other reviews, you can catch me on sofritoforyoursoul.com. Stay tuned. Now let's get into this whole hairstyle. I know that our main character of Mira, played by Jessica Chastain, her hair is a nice fiery red, but this was the closest that I have to her hairstyle in episode 3. Hold on a sec. Episode 3, titled The Valley of Tears, where she's sporting this beautiful new hair updo. And yes, you know, again, you can clock me if I'm, or correct me if I'm wrong, but it does mirror Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake was a film actress. I believe her time period stamp is like between 1939 and 1954. And she made this swoop to the side, very sexy swoop, and you know, being very coquettish with the arm, or specifically the shoulder look. It just was a look. So again, I don't know, I don't think they were trying to embed anything of Veronica Lake, but that swoop, it just, I clocked it. I was like, she was really pouring on the charm in that episode with her husband, soon to be ex. But we're going really ahead of ourselves. So let's backtrack a bit. Now in episode 1, now just to be clear, Scenes from a Marriage it was an original miniseries in Sweden, 1973. It is a 1973 Swedish television miniseries written and directed by Ingmar Bergman, over the course of 6 hour-long episodes. So we have 6 with the original miniseries, and then for this new HBO miniseries we have 4. Explores the disintegration of the marriage between Mariana, those are original characters, Marianne, a divorce lawyer, and Johan, a psychology professor. The series spans a period of 10 years. Bergman's teleplay draws on his own experiences, including his relationship with Ullman. It is shot on a small budget in Stockholm and Faro in 1972. Now, I wanted to see, now I will admit, I saw the miniseries, the 2021 version, and then I saw the miniseries because both are available on Hbomax and you can do your own comparisons. So I just wanted to see what was the difference in between, other than the fact that I believe it's almost 3 hours long. It does kind of, depending on per chapter in the original miniseries. So even though it's about 3 and change hours long, the original miniseries, you can see that there's a bit of a time stamp in comparison to the 2021 version, which they've kept certain things from the original to this they've transitioned to this new miniseries. We've kept the husband as professor, but in this case, they did switch roles. So in the original 1973 version, the husband is the cad. The husband is the one that steps out of the marriage, and the woman, the female lead, is a divorce lawyer, but seems in this particular version very meek, which I can't wrap my brain around. That was like the one thing that I couldn't understand. She's a divorce lawyer herself, so she constantly has to, and the irony that she's a divorce lawyer but is going through her own bouts with divorce, and when it came to her husband, she would sometimes cower and nearly sometimes beg him to not leave the marriage. Now, originally does not start like that. It seems like they're very in tune with each other from the first episode. I believe both episodes are named the same. Yeah, Innocence in Panic is the 1973 version, and the 2021 version is Innocence in Panic. So perhaps, because again, we as the audience are being drawn into the series, our first introduction of them as a couple, they seem rather happily married. In the 1973 version, they're being, as a couple, they're being interviewed for a magazine. I think it was like a previous client that wanted to do some kind of expose when it came to marriages in general and how do they coincide for so many years. And in the 1973 version, they are reaching 10 years of marriage, marital bliss. The 2021 version, we don't necessarily think, oh no, yes we do. We know that they've been married for 12 years. And it's not a magazine that's interviewing them, but rather a psych graduate major who is doing her own research when it comes to gender roles, and perhaps also when the breadwinner, the top breadwinner in the home, the head of the household, is the woman. Now, he's a professor. It's not like he's a lazy bum. But he does stay home and has the luxury that he can give class from the comfort of his own home. And now, does it pay equally as it would for his wife, who was in tech? She's obviously the one that is making probably three times as much. So they just kind of wanted to see that or test that. That's why the set of interview questions for her paper. And you can see that Mira, who's the wife, played by Jessica, is uncomfortable with certain questions. She's kind of squirming, and all that we can see is that the interviewer just wants to get a sense of who they are, how they met, how they fell in love. She's kind of squirming, and she's meek. She's meek in the first episode. Now we see the same uncomfortable emotions emoted in the 1973 version. But I don't know, for some reason, but the sentiment that is expressed in the first episode is expressed throughout the whole miniseries, that she is kind of subservient when it comes to her husband. Even though they get along just fine and they seem to be okay with kind of going through the motions, you don't necessarily, or I think he informs her soon after that he was unhappy, not for the fact that that there was a lack of sex in the relationship, but also because there was just a lack of connection between them. Now, in the first episode, we still don't know that. The first few minutes, we're bombarded with that they seem like they're very happy. And then that's followed up with a dinner party with two intimate friends. Now, the 1973 version, believe it or not, in comparison to the 2021 version, is a lot more cutthroat and a lot more harder to swallow, in the sense that both these supposed friends that are going through a divorce, perhaps the latter end of the divorce, they're really going in on each other. Like, they're going for the jugular at this point. There is just like, there's no gloves, there's no kid gloves here. They're going full throttle with the insults and explaining to each other how repulsed they are of each other, and their marital issues, and how disgusted they were of each other even after they would have intimate relations. And so now our supposed happy couple are kind of caught like a deer in headlights. They don't know where to look, and they're trying their best to best mediate this fight, but it is pretty brutal to like watch. And again, this is all subtitled and everything, but you can see the expressions. You can see that they genuinely have a disdain for each other. So I say it's brutal because even though there are moments where the 2021 version, the friends that are divorcing in that case, in that scene and scenario, it seems a little more tame. They're still going at it and throwing a lot of stuff to each other in each other's faces. And they went so far as to make that couple more progressive. You can see and hear that that couple was open to an open marriage to just save their marriage. And in a way, we're introduced to the possibility of what's to come, even though they both don't even know it yet. But you can see how vicious the whole divorce process can be. That for some reason, movies and these rom-coms lead you to believe that once you're married, everything's kumbaya and everything's wrapped up in a nice little pretty ribbon. But you don't, rarely do you see like the trials and tribulations and how to maintain a marriage, and maybe perhaps when either one or two people are just kind of give up and how that deteriorates. So the friend admits in the 2021 version, which by the way, the friend, which also we see is an interracial coupling that's going through the divorce. And the actress is Nicole Bahiri, who plays Kate, and the soon-to-be ex-husband of that relationship is Peter, played by Corey Stoll. Now, I've seen Nicole before in Black Mirror, and again, I have to say for Black Mirror, this is a side note, they have cast a number of incredible, talented, multi-ethnic actors. Like, it's not just specifically British actors. They have gone, across the pond, and they have cherry picked really great talent. So if you haven't seen Black Mirror, where she's in, I think it's called Sniping Vipers or something like that. Hold on a sec. Striking Vipers, excuse me. I do suggest you watch it. It's also another marriage with marital issues, but I think she's the go-to girl for that for sure. And at least that was the introduction for me. Aside from her work in that episode, we also are introduced to Yahya Abdul Mateen II. The name sounds familiar. He's the new Candyman, and he's also in The Matrix Resurrections. Incredible, exceptional talent. And from Black Mirror, we also got our leading actor. We have our Daniel Kaluuya, who played Chris Washington in Get Out. So again, but I know that was a complete tangent from what we were talking about, but great talent that you should check out on Netflix. Now, when we realize that the 2021 version, the couple is caught between a deer in headlights, the wife, Mira, takes her friend. They rush to the bedroom. They're talking about the specifics of how her friend fell in love with someone else. And through him, I think she's rationalized that it was beneficial to her in venturing out of the marriage, that if anything, she grew or was more attracted to her husband in dating someone outside of the marriage. But she fell in love with that person, and that person broke it off, and she was depressed. Her husband couldn't take that. I guess in this polyamorous relationship, they had a set of rules, and she broke that rule, and so they didn't see the purpose of still continuing with the marriage. So we also see that Mira, sorry, Mira and Jonathan, um, we see their family life, we see this beautiful home, and we see that their child is fast asleep. She's about 5 years old here. And in the 2021 version, we're also introduced to their family life, but they have two children as opposed to one. Now, this is important because I believe both go through the same issues, trials and tribulations. At the end of the episode, after seeing that wallop of a fight, they realize that, or at least Mira, has taken a home pregnancy test and she's pregnant. And at first, they seem like they're very excited. They were excited when they were pregnant with their child, their baby girl, who's now 5. But you can see kind of panic, hence the title of the episode. Panic in her eyes, because she's trying to rationalize everything of her current life. She's now been able to surpass the baby blues that you have postpartum. She's been able to deal with probably temper tantrums. The child, is past the terrible twos. The child's on a routine. She's gone back to work. She's been able to even get a promotion, and she keeps escalating. So as a woman, you can totally understand where she's coming from, where that panic sets in, because her life is just starting to get back to normal. And now she's finding it that she might have to take another hit yet again, just for the simple fact that she will be carrying the baby. And she also knows that it would be a burden for her husband, who also is a professor, but he's already has his hands full with their one child. So imagine two. And majority of the time, she's not even there. During the work week, she's in an office and perhaps even sees her child now on weekends and evenings. So there's a lot to mull over. And then at first, it seems like they're just going to go for it. And, him being a professor, but he also kind of like maybe moonlights as a carpenter, that he knows that he can fix the house in case they have another child, that the child would be happy to have a sibling. But then we fast forward some time. I don't know if it was the next day, but you can see that they're at Mira's GYN, and they've both come to the decision that it would be best for her to opt for an abortion. So because she's not so far along, she opts for the medication, the pill format of it, and talk about other forms of contraception. And on his face, there's a sense of panic too, because it's kind of like you could see he wanted to have more children and expand his family, but again, he didn't want to put that pressure on her. Perhaps also he never voiced an opinion. It's like almost like she led charge there. And so there's a bit of like panic, resentment, and just acceptance written all over his face. And yet he's still trying to be there. He's trying to be a good partner and helping her. He even got her a can of soda so she could take her pill. And you feel for homie. You feel for him because he genuinely is there for her. But she's already having some kind of issues, some inner turmoil that we don't technically understand yet. And then she just kind of like feels nauseous, or makes up that she's nauseous and makes up some excuse where it's like, you can go ahead of me. I think I'm going to stay here. I need some time to breathe. Just let me be. And then she just kind of like hides under covers and starts crying, which is so odd. And we can already tell the wheels are turning. Something is happening here. Also, I want to make a point too that the creator of this miniseries is also the creator for, don't quote me, but I think he's also the creator for, or showrunner for In Treatment, which again, that was another show that I had pending, but it just kind of got away from me. But I did enjoy the last season of In Treatment because it really takes you through a personal journey of each character and their inner workings. And so we kind of see the same thing here. So you can see like his signature way of perhaps producing and writing that kind of mimic In Treatment. But you already know there's something there. There's something in the water there. And not for nothing, this duo of actors too, woo, I mean, they have such chemistry. I was aware of Oscar Isaac's trajectory. He's had a number of other successful films. And even certain characters that I totally missed or kind of went over my head. He was in Drive, which I don't know how I missed that. And he looked totally different, and that was only a few years back. But really incredible actor. He really can embody nearly anything. Like, he is Latino. He is Guatemalteco and Cuban. And so Guatemalan and Cuban. And he speaks Spanish. But he's playing a Jewish man. And I think it's like something in his features and just how he comes off. I don't necessarily think he's Latino Jewish because it does exist. Okay, FYI, I just wanted to make a point to this. Now, if this was intentional, I don't think so. I think he's playing a Hasidic Jewish male. But who is to say Latinos can't be Jewish? This movie in particular, which I enjoy too, and I also recommend that you watch it. It's called My Mexican Shiva. And I honestly, I loved it because it was another side to Mexican culture that rarely ever gets daylight, much less in daytime, for daytime consumption or mainstream. And mostly people just associate Mexican or Latino culture with Catholicism. But yes, there's Jewish religion also. There's Hebrews who are also Latinos. So I don't necessarily think that the creator for this miniseries was, bombarding us or making it a point for Isaac's character to be Latino. He just is. But I just wanted to point that out, that if it wasn't, or if it was something that just kind of went over a lot of people's heads, again, I appreciate that. I think we need more representation, especially even in diversity of religion. I think that's really important. For example, there are instances of his religion, which again, it makes sense to his character. He was already a Hasidic Jewish person of the faith, and perhaps was even going to participate in an arranged marriage, but he wanted to break free of that. But it's something that when he goes through all this pain and he loses himself, he reverts back to his religion. So there are instances in a few episodes forward, I want to say like episode 2 or 3, you can see that he's trying to introduce the faith to his daughter with Shiva. Sorry, hold on a second. A Shabbat, which is Hebrew. And it's a day of holiness and rest observed by Jews from sunset on Friday to nightfall on the following day. There's challah bread on the dinner table. There's these traditional candles, everything that you would see typically adorn a table for this particular ceremony. And also there's instances in certain scenes, there's a mezuzah. Again, forgive me, I'm mispronouncing mezuzah. It's a piece of parchment scroll with the Shema prayer inscribed on it, which is kept in a small case. The purpose of the mezuzah is to act as a constant reminder of God's presence. Jews will often touch the mezuzah as they go through the door, the instruction for this from the Torah. So there are all those small instances, and yeah, you go through your own Shiva towards the end. But I just wanted to point those little small things out that I don't necessarily know if people just noticed it. I mean, aside from the yarmulke and whatnot. But those are important elements. And again, I've always mentioned on my channel, what can't you learn through art? I'm not personally, I am Catholic, but, it's always good to learn things outside of yourself, So especially if it's embedded in a really good story. Now moving on to the second episode, that's the most heart-wrenching one, I want to say, because this is where we see why Mira is going through so many an emotional turmoil with herself, because she finally cops to why she was so adamant about getting that abortion. I think some time has passed, perhaps even like close to 8 months. She's coming back late from her job. She takes, I guess, some form of transit, train, and whatnot. I think this is Boston, and I think she works in New York, but she takes maybe the Metro North. And